Thank you too.
Okay, so yeah, good morning, everyone. I think today we are still on the first deliverable. Okay. Hello, can you hear me?
Yes, I can
Yes,
hear you.
we can hear. We can hear you.
Yeah, because I'm hearing some background noises.
Oh, comment, Chepkonga, my colleague, please mute.
So, okay, today I was saying today we have to go through again on the benchmarking report, where we'll focus so much maybe on the findings and the recommendations, because we want to know from the start what are some of the research questions we are supposed to address for this study. So I don't know how many people manage to go through the report before maybe we can let in Dr. Hamolo to take us through the report again.
Chair, I only
yes.
shared. Chair.
What? Yes.
Thank you, Chair. Humphrey, please mute. I obtained some documents from Energy Regulatory and I shared them.
Yes.
They were very hefty, I must confess. I didn't go through those documents personally, but I shared them. I hope they were useful. Thank you.
Yes, they are. And apart from the documents, maybe I would like to know who managed to go through the draft report that was shared by Dr. Amol on the first deliverable, because that will be the main discussions today.
Chair, I personally went through it.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah.
Anybody else before we can now go through the presentations by Dr. Amol?
I also went through it. This is Anthony.
Okay, thank you, Adam. Yes, so, and maybe we'll now allow Dr. Amolo to take us through the report again. Then after the report, after going through the presentations, we'll have maybe questions or recommendations. And from there now we'll decide what are some of the research questions we would like to address for this study and the best way to go through it. So I welcome Dr. Amolo to take us through the benchmarking report again. Thank you.
Thank you, Chair. I shared the latest version this morning, and it was because I wanted to incorporate more findings from some documents that were shared yesterday and the day before. So if you have with you the presentation, maybe we could put it up, but I can also just go through it. I did a PowerPoint presentation.
And just take us through it again, please.
Okay, do you want me to share the screen? I'm not
Yes.
sure if I'll be able to. Let me see how I can. Give me a minute. So that is visible, right?
Correct, yes. Thank you very much. It's visible.
Yes, so last time we already looked at the activities and the proposed framework that we were going to use. So I'll go straight into the highlights of the findings, and I'll make it very brief, assuming that we are all familiar with the contents of the report. So some of the main findings were that policy and regulatory frameworks in a couple of sub-Saharan African countries already advocate for solar energy for both households and businesses. And Kenya appears very prominently on that list of countries. And then we also found that several countries are now considering compensation schemes such as net metering within these energy policy frameworks. And again, Kenya features on that list. We also found that Kenya has one of the most mature distributed renewable energy markets in the continent, in sub-Saharan Africa, that is, and we have the highest market penetration, the highest product penetration of solar lanterns and solar home systems in the world. So it means that the country is already doing quite well in this regard. In the Energy Act, we found that there's provision for net metering, but since it caters only for a capacity limit of 1 megawatt, then it doesn't sufficiently provide for small-scale production. And therefore, there's need for more effective legislation in that regard when the net metering program is being rolled out. And then gender mainstreaming also appeared very prominently in a lot of the policy documents, where the common argument is that women are key stakeholders, but they're marginalized, and they need to participate better in the successful planning and implementation of renewable energy initiatives. So we've discussed in detail the opportunities and challenges. And since one of the opportunities or the advantages is that Kenya already has a very high product penetration rate in the solar industry, the challenge would be that there are skills and knowledge gaps. There's the upfront costs of installing solar in homes and businesses is still quite high, so a lot of people have to be financed. And in the ERC baseline report, they show that 60% of customers need financing, and that is a big challenge. So people can't afford the upfront costs without support. And then we found that the policy and regulatory environment, even though on paper it looks good, there are a lot of challenges that customers face when it comes to the realities of installing the systems. So we have a couple of recommendations. One is that the government should have a clear self-consumption policy framework that is favorable specifically for small-scale production. That is the adoption of solar in households and businesses. And then there needs to be better regulation and enforcement to ensure that consumers are getting high-quality products and that services at all levels of the supply chain are provided adequately. And then there is need for energy stakeholders to create platforms to encourage the further participation of women in initiatives. We also thought that government should create a clear path for competition enhancement through a viable business model that is specific to the Kenyan case. So we found that whatever solutions are proposed must be contextualized to the specific country. And then national and county governments, of course, must work together to integrate the national and the county policy frameworks. We also found that businesses, especially in the Juakali, should, of course, participate by creating innovative solutions. But for that to happen, they need business support, such as microfinancing and microenterprise training. There is also the onus on institutions of higher learning to encourage more uptake of technical courses so that we can fill the skills and knowledge gap. And then in this regard, we thought that there needs to be better collaboration between academia, government, and industry to develop standardized, accredited, industry-relevant curricula, as well as provide career development programs for graduates. More specifically, we thought the National Research Fund should allocate specific funding for local solar solutions. Thank you.
Okay. Thank you, Dr. Moro, for your presentations. Yeah, it's quite educative and straightforward. So I'll go now back to the members. Any questions, any recommendations from the presentations? Yes, yes.
Engineer Harvey here. Thank you, Dr. Tari, for that very good presentation. I just have one question. You did state that the Energy Act of 2019 does not make any provision for small-scale production of renewable energy. I just wanted to understand what do you mean by small-scale, so that we can understand. Thank you.
Thank you. Yes. Any other question before we can allow Dr. Molo to give feedback? Okay, Dr. Molo, go ahead.
Yes, I thought that is a question that needs to be discussed further. So from the documents we read and acknowledging that we're not technical experts, we find that the net metering is going to cater for production of up to 1 megawatt. And we thought that if people are producing, if in homes people are going to produce less than that, then they're not going to be catered for in that regulation. Are we correct in that conclusion? We are happy to change it. It's just a conclusion we arrived at from the documents that we looked at.
Okay, Chair, can I go?
Yes, you can go.
1 megawatt is equal to 1,000 kilowatts. And when you talk about the small scale production of solar and even wind or other renewable energy, normally we are in the range of, and 1 megawatt being 1,000 kilowatts really takes care of all these aspects of small scale. Today I've just read some documents on feed-in tariffs, already policy that has been established by the Ministry of Energy. The feed-in tariffs then start from 500 kilowatts to 10,000. So anything below 1,000 kilowatts is considered small scale, and this is where we actually fall. And that is a question I even asked last time. Our scope should, when you talk about small businesses and solar for home, it actually falls within this range of 0 kilowatt to 1,000 kilowatts. That takes care of the small. So the net metering is available under the Energy Act that takes care of all production between 0 kilowatt to 1,000 kilowatts. Then when you go beyond 1,000 kilowatts, then you go straight from net metering and you get into the feed-in tariff. The feed-in tariff that you have currently starts at 100 kilowatts, 10,000 kilowatts. So they are already segregated those ranges of capacity, so that if an investor is willing to produce anything more than 1,000 kilowatts, then you will not be under net metering. You then graduate from net metering and you go into the feed-in tariff that will take you from now 1,000 kilowatt to 10,000 kilowatts. Now, when you go beyond 10,000 and not for small scale. This is now feeding national grid. Now is dependent on the dispatch, dependent on the load flow, dependent on the stability of the system, and whether the demand comes. So needed just to make that clarification that for small scale, it is 1,000, 0 to 1,000, which is catered for at the net metering. When you're going beyond 1,000 as an investor, then you get into the feed-in tariff that now tables from 1,000 to 10,000. Now, this was the plan. Thank you, Chair.
Okay, you are welcome, Engineer.
Thank you, Chair. Thank you, Engineer, for that clarification. So we'll make that change. So we had the wrong assumption that the net metering was taking care of anything above 1 megawatt. So you're saying it's from 0 to 1 megawatt is already catered for in net metering.
Correct.
So any home or business that produces in between that is going to be catered for under that net metering regulation.
Correct.
Okay, then that is clear. I'm going to change that. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Dr.
Chair,
Yes.
just for the benefit of Dr. Molo and her team, one of the reasons we in ACOSTI, we came up with this policy advisory committee on solar power for houses and businesses was to take into consideration one of the big four of the current president talks of housing. And housing, in our understanding, is where people habitate, people live. So we were thinking that if there are going to be an explosion of houses, that is good houses, not what we see in our current informal settlements, then all these houses which are coming up, if they were to have solar, for example, then it will be good. In addition, for the households benefiting from having solar, it should be the policy advisory should come up with what should happen for the excess electricity they may generate. Because if you take, for example, an inhabitant who is going for holiday or leaves house in the morning and returns in the house in the evening, and let's say the person is without small children who use electricity, or anybody who uses electricity, what would happen to that excess production? And that's how net metering would be nice if it was considered in this advisory, considering that there'll be more houses coming up, and there are already existing houses, and to install solar, as Strathmore has shown, and now University of Nairobi Physics Department, it can be done on even an existing house. That aside, I wanted to get your reactions because we had two main objectives of this committee. One is the business side, which Dr. Amolo has covered excellently in her presentation. And then we had the other one, which was fronted, and we were hoping that the University of Nairobi would spearhead it. This is the capacity, enhancing our own capacity, either to produce or to manufacture or whatever the research outputs of the current people in the physics department are doing. That one doesn't come out of this excellent presentation by Dr. Amolo. Thank you, all of us.
Okay, thank you, Dr. Otroma, for your insights, and Engineer Owaga for the clarification of the net metering issues. I think with the net metering, the challenge we have is to get a win-win situation for the households and then for the utility Kenya Power. The challenge we have with Kenya Power, it's very hard now to get compensation from them. So maybe what we should focus more on is how will this net metering work? Will it be in terms of monetary value, like when you produce excess power and feed the grid, how will Kenya Power compensate you? Or will it like you have feed this much and you have taken this much from Kenya Power, and how will that work? Because that's what we are targeting for the households. Then on the business part of it, the focus should be more on the productive uses of electricity. Things that like the small and medium enterprises can work on or can use to use electricity productively. And with this, we should consider things like the irrigations or the solar water pumping, things like maybe in the Juakari sector, they are doing a lot in terms of the businesses that will consume electricity. I think we should think along those lines in terms of the business side of it. But on the household side of it, the challenge is like, how will the households benefit from the excess power they will feed into the grid? That's what like this committee should think of when coming up with either the report or the policy brief. Yes, that's my comment on the net metering and the business side of it. And we welcome any other comments from any member. Hello.
Thank you, Chair. Maybe I can make maybe one comment. And thank you, Chair, and thank you, Dr. Molo, for the presentation, and Chair for the good guidance. And I think my comment basically has to do with the area of what Dr. Tuama has touched on, and that is now on capacity building, vis-a-vis production, solar panels, and the related. And I think we at the University of Nairobi, we can really facilitate and be much involved in the capacity building, and we can also be very much involved in terms of research and facilitation in terms of production of solar panels. Although per se, as an institution, I'm not sure whether we would be well facilitated or placed to do the real production on the ground. But I think in collaboration with the Kenigen, if I remember well, my friend from Kenigen hinted that they are working on a production plant to be located somewhere. So we can work together and see how this can be realized, seeing the contribution we can make to that. Thank you, Chair.
Okay, you are welcome, Dr. Waita. Yes, and on this, maybe we can hear from Kenigen. What plans do they have on the productions of solar panels? Because for institutions to get the capital required to set up a such factory, it might take ages without support, maybe from the government or development donors and so on.
Hello, team?
Yes, we can hear you.
So this is Anthony. So I know we currently have a plan, but I think it's too early to discuss. Maybe at this point I can't give because we are still waiting for some approval. So okay. I know there's some work, but at this point I think it's too early to comment because we still have some internal approvals. Once it's completed, we can be able to give a better position. But as now I know there's some work, yes, currently happening, but at this time, I think it's too early to give a Kenyan position at this on this matter.
Okay, thank you, Anton, for the comment and maybe the way forward. So yes, then with this, unless we have another comment from NT member, we can see now the way forward on some of the recommendations that was listed by Dr. Molo. From the recommendations, we are supposed to come up with some of the research questions we would like to answer, or that will guide the study. And from each research questions, we agree on who are the stakeholders or the members in the energy sector whom we are supposed to conduct for those research questions, because we might end up having different questions for different stakeholders depending on the area on which they work. Yes.
Chair, thank you so much. And just to make a comment, there's on what you're suggesting, which is a very good direction. And I remember there's somebody who shared some PowerPoint presentation. Was it Sarah from Kiridi or somebody who shared a document, drafted document on the area you are suggesting? I'm not sure whether I saw something else or some people also saw it.
Yes, there was a presentation from Sarah that she shared. I think that was last week, on some of the suggested stakeholders and areas that we should work on.
Yes, so I'm not sure whether that would be a good starting point, and then we can now try to pick what should not capture from the current presentation by Dr. Molo, probably to make it a bit more inclusive and faster instead of starting from the scratch. If that is exactly what you are alluding to, Chair. Thank you.
Yes. That is exactly what I'm trying to introduce on. Maybe, I don't know whether she is present.
She is, Chair.
Yes. So she is welcome to take us through, unless we have any questions.
Hello, good morning.
Yes.
Good morning to you all.
Good morning.
Yes.
Morning, Sarah.
Yes, now from the depth that I'd worked on, I thought of coming up with the objectives, because it's the objective that will guide us when we go to the second activity. So I'd started working on it. So if you could just at least work on it and agree on those research questions that the chair is saying, it will guide us in the next step. So let's work on that one as a team. That's the request I can have. So as one of us says, I'll request somebody, maybe I don't know how to share that document. I don't have it in this laptop. So if somebody has it, maybe we could go through it as a team and come up with a clear research questions. So I'm requesting somebody, if you have that document, or Dr. Tuma, if you have it, you could just share it and we work from what I'd started doing.
Okay, thank you, Sarah. Dr.
Yes.
Tuma. Sarah, can you mute your...
Want me to bring up the document?
Yes.
So this would be the presentation
from Sarah.
The one which she had started working on, and
yes,
I shared with everybody so that everybody could give their input.
Yes.
Yeah. Okay, I can trace it.
Okay, thank you.
But aren't we discussing Dr. Amolo's presentation?
We are discussing Dr. Amolo's
together with this,
presentation. Yeah, together with this, because from the recommendations she found.
I understand, and Dr. Waita brought up the question, and Sarah from Kiridi is responding. That's what I get, and it will be nice to project it so that the conversation can center on the document.
Yes.
That's the document, isn't it so, Sarah?
Yes, it is. So I thought of.
I stay on that page.
Yes. So our next activity is setting the objective from benchmarking report, which means we really need to discuss the recommendations and come up with research questions from the benchmarking report properly. That is the document that. Yes. So I started working on a few objectives. Just go to the second one where there's objectives, so that we can link what Dr. Amulo presented and
Chair,
what we shall do
please
in the
mute
next
your mic.
activity.
No, not Sarah. Sarah, you're the one on the floor, please.
So move to the second.
With many children.
Hello.
There's a lot. There are children playing around.
Not playing. They're also in class. It's a difficult time.
Okay, I understand. I appreciate. I'm sorry for that comment. You may continue, please.
So kindly move to the second so that we can come up with objectives from the findings that Dr. Onani presented, Dr. Mool. Just move to into the. Yes, so these are the findings that I recorded before now the amendments that Dr. Mueller has come up with now. So if you could just work from this one and include some of the recommendations that are not here, then we can now come up with the objectives. So if we work from this one and come up with the research questions from the recommendations and the gaps that we realized in the benchmarking, then we shall get good things. So let's just move to the objectives and see what I came up with, the few questions that I started coming up with, and we check on what we can include and what we can remove from the objectives. So the first objective that I was coming up with, in the gap, there are issues of business models for domestic. So I came up with this objective like to determine the national business models for domestic industrial energy development. So if we agree, we can work on that statement, or we can include another topic to capture that. I don't know whether we're okay with that.
I'm following you, Sarah. Thank you very much.
Yes.
I don't know about our other colleagues. Chair.
Can I make a comment?
Yes, go ahead.
So, Chair, maybe you can tell us how we can handle it, because this is what I worked on. And now there are some recommendations and what Dr. Molo has presented. So if you could just guide us, because I was not prepared to really present the draft today.
That's very much in order, Sarah.
Yeah, yes. It's okay.
Yes.
Yeah. Then go ahead.
So Chairman, you can just move on with this one to lead the team so that we come up with a search question from these ones that started working on. Kindly.
Okay, thank you.
Yes.
So the second one is to evaluate the productive use of solar technologies in businesses.
Chair.
Yes.
Since today was Dr. Amolo's day, and this one will be the follow-up after the one of Dr. Amolo, or the benchmarking, it would be good we dwell more on the benchmarking, and and later on we will come to this because now the benchmarking has been done. This was more of an interim in the sense that when we had the benchmarking report, I mean, we had the benchmarking interim presentation 2 weeks ago.
Yes.
What Sarah did, she picked up how now, it's like when you are in this relay race. So she was warming up. So this is more of a warm up. It's not really what Sarah wishes to present today. And it was only to answer Dr. Waita's question, which started from Dr. Molo's presentation. And what Sarah was showing is how it will feed into her into the next presentation, which will be led by now Sarah of Kirdi. That's how I understand it. But Sarah can correct me. And also Dr. Waita can have a say. Thank you, Chair.
Okay,
Okay,
I think Dr. Otuoma, the chair is very right. We are giving an approach for the second action or the activity that we should be taking. So what he is saying that right now we should really work on the recommendations that Dr. Molo really stated in our document. But now using those recommendations, we should be able to come up with the objectives that we'll be able to present in the next meeting. So right now we should be working on like 2 sections, working on Dr. Molo as we come up with the objectives. Out of the recommendations, what will we be achieving from the benchmarking report? And that is now coming up with that. Maybe that's what I understood from, is it Engineer Waita?
Well, okay, so it's okay. The name is okay. So thank you. Thank you, Sarah. Thank you, Dr. Tuoma. Thank you, Chair. Maybe I can just make a little comment on this. And I was thinking that since now the benchmarking has been done and is sort of, we can say, very well focused now, I was thinking that, and that Sarah has been working on this. I was thinking that we can give Sarah some time to update now this document with the reference to Dr. Amolo's presentation, and we also give our input along the line before the next meeting, so that next meeting Sarah will be able to present a full document now on this one here, and then now we can pour our input and our comments and suggestions on the particular document. I think that will be more inclusive and a little bit more focused on the second focus. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Dr. Waita. And I think that's the reason why I brought up the idea of the research questions, because already we have the benchmarking report that we are supposed to build on to identify the research question, and maybe from the research question we'll identify the stakeholders or the actors in those different categories, because we need different categories of the consultations that we'll do with the data collection. So I think that one is clear. So we can go back to Dr. Moro's benchmarking report. If there is any questions or any comments any team member want to make. Then now from there we'll decide, are we proceeding with the draft Sarah has presented, or are we giving her more time to work on some of the new inputs that was added to the benchmarking report?
Chair.
Yes.
Thank you, Chair. I just needed to make some response to the question that was raised by Dr. Waita, the one on net metering and how that will happen. When you talk about net metering, it is it's like bidirectional. You have your plant, maybe on the rooftop. You have your captive power, the one you use at home. And then the difference is what you export to the distribution, rather the off-taker, in this case, Kenya Power. So from what I know, the compensation shall be based on credits. Basically, what is happening is like the off-taker, in this case, the distribution company, is offering you a storage facility for the power that you're producing. You're injecting it in the existing network. And when you inject it in the existing network, of course, you are causing some flow, some load flow, and causing some losses into the network that is also being undertaken by the same distribution company, because the flow, there's some power which is not necessary. That's a normal electrical engineering. It's active and reactive power. So when you supply that power, it has both components. So the reactive power is useless, and it contributes to the heating of the system, and therefore the loss. And that is taken care of by the distribution company. So you have excess power and you are exporting it to the distribution company, and the distribution company is giving you that storage capability so that you can store your excess power when you don't require it. And the businessman, or rather let's say the supplier of this power at this time, will be compensated in terms of credit. I think there will be no monetary compensation. So if in a billing period of 30 days, for example, you produced for example, in a billing period of 30 days, for example, business X produced 1,000 kilowatt hours. And in that same billing period, it used 700 kilowatt hours for its own use. Therefore, it's left with 300 kilowatt hours to export. That 300 kilowatt hours is what you export into the distribution network. And because of the losses and other technical issues that go with it, the distribution company will be able to compensate you in terms of credit, but at a value of about 62% of what you export into the network. Of course, the other percentages is what I've just explained in terms of losses that you subject the system into, and also the upgrades that might be required for them to be able to protect. So you will be entitled for 300 kilowatt hours in terms of the export. Now, if you multiply that by another 65%, that means it reduced to about 190 kilowatt in terms of credit. So if in that billing period, you have a credit of 189 kilowatt hours, and therefore Kenya Power, or rather that distribution company, will not bill you because you have already credit that is accrued as a result of that billing. And that credit can then be carried forward to the following month. Then depending on how again you operate the following month, if you go beyond it, then you get a bill. If you don't go beyond it, you get a credit, which keeps on being accumulated. That is the direction that the net metering is taking, and needed just to give that information in terms of how the net metering is envisaged to work. Thank you, Chair.
Okay, thank you, Engineer Eric, for the insights. And maybe I have a question. What if now the power you have exported to the utility accumulates, and maybe at the end of the year, maybe we are taking 1 year like the durations, at the end of the year, and you have excess power that you have accumulated and you have exported to the utility. What's now like? What's the next move? Will it still go ahead now to proceed or carry forward to the next year, or will it reach a time whereby now the households and the utility now need to agree on how to go about the excess power household has been exporting now to the Kenya Power or the utility in considerations.
Yes, now, yes, thank you so much. I think this process is still ongoing, and I can tell you the problem of renewable energy is basically on the off-taker and the technical issues that are related to how much can you be able to take actually even from that vicinity that is being supplied. I think it is a discussion that can be enhanced further even as the development. What I've seen in the draft is that is just a carryover, but in terms of you carry over up a certain period, what goes with the excess? Question that can enhance further for a win-win situation, both for the investor and both for the. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Eric. Any other comment from the members?
Yeah.
Yeah, yes.
I thank Engineer Eric for that explanation, and I hope Dr. Amolo and her group are with us in this discussion because one of the reasons we in Nacosti thought about this advisory is exactly that, because this regime of carryover, those of us who remember Uchumi Supermarket and Nakumat, and now we have Carrefour and Staskis and what have you, and Naivas, you all know you go and get points if you do shopping in those supermarkets, and these points eventually they translate to you possibly going back to the same supermarkets and taking goods worthy a value those points are given. So we were thinking in Nacosti that this advisory committee, because it is a policy advisory, we may advise we move beyond the way the supermarkets behave. Because, for example, in that example I gave of a person who leaves in the morning and comes back in the evening and probably only uses light, so such that eventually there's always a balance to the person's favor. It will not be as attractive if the person knew there was a monetary value at the end of a month if the balance is in the person's favor, or even if you want to stretch it in a year's time if the balance is in the individual's favor. So it would be good this advisory committee comes up with ways to advise the policy so that it is not this one of carryover. Thank you, Chair, but I would like to hear what other members think.
Yes, thank you, Otoma, for the comment. And that was even my thought, because it has been happening and with Kenya Power. You see, for supermarkets and all those things, you can go and get goods that have the same value with there. But now with Kenya Power, what kind of benefit can you get with the credits or carryover thing? Yes. So we welcome other comments or input from all the members. I think we can hear.
Chair?
Yes.
May I comment based on some of the things we found out in the report?
Yes, just go ahead, please.
And what has been said. As you can see, we have the experts here, and we're already a bit confused about how the net metering is going to work out. So one of the reports that we looked at said that whatever self-consumption policy frameworks are put in place for businesses and for households, the framework needs to be clear. And in more detail, we said that the framework needs to be clear and precise. The administrative procedures also need to be simple and participatory. And from here, some questions can emerge. How can this local businesses and households be involved in ensuring that the self-compensation framework caters for their needs and it is understandable to them. We also mentioned that the compensation scheme needs to be optimized. So whatever scheme is chosen, it needs to be advantageous for those who are participating in it. And then there's the need for customers to be clear that they're not IPPs. So I think this has already been very clearly described by the engineer that there's a difference between net metering and feed-in tariffs. And then lastly, we said there that there's need to ensure standardization and quality assurance across the whole value chain. So from here, I see a lot of questions emerging on exactly how this process is going to be made clear, simple, participatory, and advantageous to those who choose to get involved. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Dr. Moro, for the feedback and the insights. Any other member? I think we can hear from, we have Krista. We have not spoken today. We have Abri, Romande, Mr. Comment. Yes.
Now that you mentioned Krista, let us congratulate her. She's going to get a PhD and she'll join our ranks of having PhD at the end of her name. So Krista, congratulations before you speak.
Yes, congratulations. So maybe you can just say something.
Chair?
Yes.
Please allow me to speak on behalf of Krista and the rest of my team. So you can see Douglas and Paris didn't join us today, and it's because they're in the field work. So Krista is also part of our team. Unless I doubt if she has anything extra to say other than what I've already said in our report. But Krista, please feel free to add.
So I think silent means.
Yeah, Chair, can I seek clarification as Krista prepares herself to say something if she has?
Yes.
And this is from our engineer about the net metering. I just want to confirm, is there any monetary value attached to the net metering in the sense that I give more to Kenya Power than I have consumed, for example? Engineer, is there any monetary value for me to be compensated, say?
Okay. I said the compensation is in form of credits. That is what is available.
Okay. All right, thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, any comment? Because Krista is silent. Then we have Mr. Comment. Any input, any comment? Yes, Krista, since you have raised your hand. Yes, go ahead. Krista, go ahead.
Maybe she has a challenge of technology or something.
Yes. Maybe she can chat if she has anything to add. Okay, so any other comment from any member?
I just have a question,
Yes.
but not on Dr. Amulo's presentation, maybe to Nakosti. Do you normally have a written minute after the meeting?
Chair.
Hello?
Yes, Chair. Dr. Go ahead.
Thank you, Chair. To Sarah's question, before March, when we were made to work from home, every time we would have a meeting, we would make minutes. But since March 2020, when we were made to work from home, and that's why every time we start a meeting, I always request and I always inform you that we are recording it, and I share the recording. And in case you are not having Teams, I can have the same recording done into a YouTube. So to answer your question, since March, we've not been writing minutes because we have the full recording. What we do is we can make memos and we can make letters, but minutes, we have the full recording. So that's what has been happening from March when the lockdown.
Then you could just convert it to YouTube for some of the people like us who don't have the Microsoft.
I will do that. I will do that starting from this meeting. I will also go back to the previous meetings and I will have them done in YouTube, and I will share with all of us who may not have the Teams software and are not able to access the recordings. I will do that. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Dr. for that. Okay, any other comment from any member? So I've seen comment from Krista. She's saying, my apologies for the dysfunctional microphone. I would only emphasize on participatory approaches for those who will take up the solar now best, they could benefit from the credits. Okay, silence means we are all in agreement with Dr. Moro's presentations and the discussions we had on the net metering policy. So now from there, we can now agree because we go now to the next deliverable. That is stakeholder consultations. So as a team, we know Kildi will be leading on this deliverable, but we need to work as a team, maybe to come up with clear research questions and to decide on who are we engaging in this deliverable or activity. So I welcome all the members maybe to just say something on the way forward for the next deliverable. That will be key to either the report or policy brief that will come up with. Yeah, that's what now will determine the outcome of this project. So we can start with Dr. Otuoma, or maybe Sarah, or anybody else who has something to see, because now that's now the critical part of this project we are working on.
Okay, maybe what I can say
Yes.
is that you give me a chance to go and work on the document, then I'll come with the activities. Then in the next presentation, hello?
Yes, go ahead.
Chair, we are privileged to be joined by our Director General.
Okay.
And I don't know how long he will be with us. Director General, karibu sana.
Yes, thank you, David. And to members of this committee, as you were saying correctly, I found this meeting to be quite important, and I decided, despite the busy schedule, I will at least say hello and get to know the current status and what this is all about. So, David, back to you. You have been talking of solar panel, something. I've never known exactly what this is. But the simplest way you can assist me is to tell me how this solar panel ends up with Wanjiku from a layman's point of view. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Director General. We have a policy advisory committee composed of Strathmore University, who are also chairing us. And Strathmore University, the reason we picked them as one of our members was in Strathmore University, the campus in Nairobi West. They have put solar panels on all roofs. And because of putting all solar panels on all roofs, they are supplying their own electricity. And not so long ago, they entered into a power purchase agreement with Kenya Power, and they are now selling the excess electricity to Kenya Power in addition to supplying their own electricity. The second member in this committee is University of Nairobi, and University of Nairobi is represented by two different departments. They will introduce themselves, but one of them is my alma mater, Physics Department. Physics Department was given the mandate of also installing solar panels in the whole of Chiromo campus, our main campus, and what we call ADD, and where the student hostels are. And as we are speaking now, in the physics block, they have put 3 kilowatts of solar panels. They will also have their say. And then the third member in this committee, they are entities from the Ministry of Energy. It is led by KenGen. KenGen, as you all are aware, they are the only generating company in Kenya which is nationally, which is owned by the government. We also have independent power producers, but we have KenGen because in addition to KenGen making electricity from hydro, wind, thermal, they're also building a solar power plant, a solar panel, a solar manufacturing plant in Moranga, but they will explain themselves. And then we also have Nuclear Power and Energy Agency. Nuclear Power and Energy Agency, in the latest Energy Act of 2019, they were given 2 mandates. One of the mandates is to do research on issues energy. So they can do research on issues energy like nuclear, thermal, coal, gas, and of course renewables like solar, wind, and so forth. And of course we have KIRDI, Kenya Industrial Research Development Institute, which is a baby of the predecessor of NACOSTI, that is National Council. So KIRDI, they have a whole department dealing with energy. And so what we started in April as an idea has now germinated into the solar power for houses and businesses policy advisory committee. And all the members are present, and I would like them to introduce themselves. And today, actually, the reason we met was to listen to the very first deliverable, which was a benchmarking report delivered by Dr. Amolo, and she is our star today. So she has just finished her presentation and we are discussing it, and I would appreciate if The introduction started with the ladies, starting with Dr. Amolo, and she may say something for 2 minutes or less. Thank you very much, Director General. Dr. Amolo.
Thank you, Dr. Yes, thank you, Dr. Otoma. It's a pleasure to meet you, Director General. My name is Dr. Amola Mbole from the School of the Arts and Design and the Institute of Climate Change and Adaptation at the University of Nairobi. I'm part of an international research team that is working on the gender aspect of energy innovations in Kenya and South Africa. We are funded by the British Council and the National Research Fund of South Africa. So our main aim, as far as Kenya is involved, is to provide this social science perspective to how stakeholders in the energy sector come together to solve energy problems. And one of our case studies is Mathare Informal Settlement. So we are very keen on facilitating stakeholder engagements. And for us, the participation in this committee is very much part of our objective as a research team. So we are very happy to support the benchmarking aspect of this committee. Thank you.
You may introduce your colleagues, please, or they may talk.
Oh, sorry, sorry, I forgot. Yeah. I usually attend with a big team. So today I have Krista Anditi, who's a PhD researcher at Stellenbosch University. So Stellenbosch is one of our collaborators. And usually I have 2 students from the Institute of Climate Change who help me put together this benchmarking report. That's Paris and Douglas, but today they're not with us because they're in the field. So they're very happy to also learn from this committee, and I keep telling them that they should pay more school fees because they're getting a real-world experience of how energy issues are tackled at the policy level. So they're also very grateful to be allowed to listen in and to contribute to this team.
Kenjen, please.
Good morning. My name is Catherine Nyambala from Kenjen. I see my colleagues are invited here, but they were not able to come in today. Anthony Langat and Paul Mutua from the Business Process Improvement Department. I am also a member of the Kenjen G2G Innovation Council that puts forth ideas every year for funneling. And I'm also part of the team that helps to develop the internal solar PV projects that we are currently developing for internal use. Thank you.
So, Catherine, Anthony is here.
Oh, Anthony, sorry. I didn't see you here. Anthony, welcome. Go ahead. The other one says others invited. Thank you, Anthony. Karibu.
Good morning, Director General. My name is Anthony Langat from Kenjen. So, as Catherine has already explained, Kenjen also we are looking at growing our footprint in the renewable energy, and we are glad to be part of this team. Thank you.
Any more, David? Or I could say something when they are complete. But there's Kirdi. There was somebody from Kirdi.
Yes, they're there. Nuclear power.
Good morning.
Thank you, Chair.
Good morning.
Good morning, Engineer Eric Ohaga from Nuclear Power and Energy Agency. I'm the Director in charge of Nuclear Energy Infrastructure Development. And as rightly put by our Chair, we also charge with the responsibility of research and development on matters energy. And I'm glad to be a member of this committee. Good to see you, Professor Engineer. Thank you.
Yes, Kirdi.
Okay, good morning again.
Okay.
I'm Sarah Kwach from Kirdi. I'm a research scientist, and we are with Lumadede Humphrey, who is also a researcher at Kirdi. Basically, we are in a very young division, energy division at Kirdi. So we are working on various renewable energies, but I'm majoring in solar technology and energy management. So currently we are planning to even come up with a training center for solar PV at Kirdi. Thank you. We are glad to be part of this team. Thank you.
And then the universities.
All right, thank you so much, Chair, and good morning, Dr. Geno. The name is Waiter Sebastian, and I'm from the University of Nairobi, with my colleague who has not managed to plug in today, Dr. Gacho. This with the exam, so I think he should be handling that. From the University of Nairobi Department of Physics, and we have actively been involved in solar training for PV technicians all the way from 2012. And when we realized there's a gap in capacity building in terms of solar installation, maintenance, and troubleshooting, and all related with solar. So we have been training from 2012, and we still continue up to this moment. We also are involved in the village level installations and troubleshooting, real practical, providing practical solutions on the ground in the villages. And we are also involved in Nairobi in terms of trying to make it a renewable energy institutions. As Dr. Thomas said, we are working on making University of Nairobi solar powered with a pilot installations at main campus, Jeroma, and the ADD. Thank you so much, and we are happy to be part of this team. We're also involved in research and development at the laboratory level for solar cells. Thank you.
Strathmore.
Good morning. So my name is Patrick Mazia. I work at Strathmore Energy Research Center. That's a department within the Strathmore University. And apart from now installing our 600 kilowatts, that takes care of our electricity bills, mostly during the day, because ours is a grid tight. We do a lot of capacity building. We do trainings of technicians, mostly in the solar industry, from tier 1 all the way to tier 3, both grid tie and hybrid system.
And you're also our chairman, Strathmore. You have gone away, and Director General, just to wrap up, one of the 4 big agendas of the current government is housing. And we thought in Nakosti that since new houses are going to come up and we already have existing houses, suppose all these houses, there was a provision in law that they must install solar or they must have solar. And in case they have solar, Director General, and they make electricity which is more than they can consume, can they sell the excess electricity to Kenya Power? So we are trying to talk around those issues, and you can see how they reflect on Wanjiku, Akinyi, Awinja, and anyone else. Thank you, Director General. You may have your say. Thank you.
Yes, thank you, David. Is there anybody from Nakosti accompanying you in this meeting? David? Your colleagues,
yes,
some of your colleagues?
Yes, there's Comment Chepkonga. Comment, maybe you may speak. Thank you, Director General.
And Comment, show your face. I've never seen your face, and I've been 2 months at Nakosti. Yes, Comment, I can see you now. Okay, say something. Maybe unmute. Have you muted or what? Comment, your network is maybe down. Yeah, you unmute. Yes. Okay, I can say, David, can I say something? Can I proceed?
Please, Director General.
Yeah, thank you, Chepkonga. I'm able to see you, and I just want to thank this team. My name is Walter Yawa, and as you may have heard, I'm new. I'm learning the ropes, and it's really running under very unique circumstances, taking note of the COVID disruption. But I still believe work has to be done. I'm excited about this team. And just before I proceed, I wanted to ask David and the team that how are you? Is this committee is a committee of people of like minds, or how are you supported? How are you supported? Is it a gathering of like minds of professionals, or where do you fall in?
Thank you, Director General. So there are various options. Ideally, because we've all been given letters of appointment, that is from our chair, who is Strathmore, to the individuals from the 6 institutions I've said. The way the policy goes and the way the code is that every time we have a meeting, our chair should get Kenya shillings 5,000, and our members should, that is one from every institution, Kenya shillings 4,000. However, if this policy advisory committee is upgraded to be a research advisory committee by the board, then the terms will be escalated. That is on issues meeting. And going forward, we have made a tentative budget, and this budget, we have presented it to our Director for Scheduled Sciences, and hopefully when the current performance contract cascades to our level, we should feature in this performance contract, especially for the core values of NACOSTI as concerns giving advice. Thank you, Director General.
Yeah, that is clear. Thank you. So I just want to thank Strathmore, of course, for taking with this very powerful initiative. It's impressive to see people taking on matters that are directly linked to Njiku. I think that's the question now. Whatever you do, you know, nuclear science, when I hear nuclear science and radiation, and Dr. Twoma knows, there's always a fear that it's about destruction. So it's the first time that I'm hearing that it can be used for peaceful means. Even when you say it's for peaceful means, it is not like people are not sure. And Dr. and Mr. Stuma have already organized for me. I'm now the national focal point for AFRA. Again, I'm very scared as much as I'm inside it. It's like, am I dealing with things that might exterminate mankind? But they are reassuring that it's actually for peaceful means. So having said that, and I might not have so much of time, first I'd like to apologize for disrupting a very good meeting. It's only that I'm really excited. Since I came in, I've had to learn some of the very important things in NACOSTI, starting, of course, with the Act, the STI Act that establishes NACOSTI, that is the Science, Technology and Innovation Act. And they are listed therein as 17 functions. Those functions are extremely powerful, but they can be condensed to about within four categories of promoting, regulating, advising, and coordinating. That's how I convert the 17 into about 4. Now, one of the things that is in our current performance contract, which has just been approved by our seniors, our employer, the NACOSTI board, was the operationalization of the national research priority areas. And I hope, David, you can circulate it to members of this team. I'm very passionate, very determined about that God willing, that committee or the National Steering Committee should be operationalized. The National Steering Committee of Research Priorities in the country is the PS for University Education and Research. That is currently Ambassador Nabukwesi. So we would want him to form or to call on, at his pleasure, the first meeting of the National Steering Committee. The secretariat for that committee is NACOSTI. And when operationalized, the first and most important area is to form the National Research Consortia in the 4 areas of the Big 4 agenda plus one additional one, the research. Now, looking at the way this team is already comprised, to me, that's only me. I've not taken it to the board. I've not discussed with top management. I would see it as one, if possible, one of our first consortia. And that is to request you, if possible, as you deliberate today or another day, to figure out how you can escalate it to be the nucleus of maybe the consortia on housing and energy. I think energy is a critical thing. It's not really captured directly. You are trying to relate it with housing, but we can extend. I think there's nothing wrong with saying one of our areas is housing and energy and something like that. So this is my request that I will leave with you for discussion, that if you can, and then you bring in some additional other members, just to ensure that all our stakeholders are captured. It could be, actually it could fall under housing as one of the sub-sectors or sub-working groups. But it needs to have the title energy. Solar is now going very technical, very specific, and it's very good. but you might broaden it a little bit, and this team could be one of the working teams. When that is done, then me and Otwoma and the director of and Dr. Thomas' boss, Dr. Roy, will try to market it as soon as we can and see how far it can be. So this could be our first research consortia, depending on whether members will it or not. And what I'm saying there, you'd ask, what are the advantages of becoming a research consortia? Now, one of the responsibilities of NACOSTI, we are supposed to advise on national research priority areas. And the moment we declare this as a national research priority area fully, and then we go into the specifics of saying these are some of the flagship programs under this under that area, under that area, then you are able to advise even the funding agencies that in terms of funding, this is one of the key priorities of the country. In energy provision from solar, I think that has been one of the key areas of the current presidency. Remember some years back, there was that, the last mile connections. Even our deputy president was going to houses, checking on the and that was done by KPLC. Now you are bringing it closer to Wanjiku. Myself right now in my little house, our son has done electrical engineering. We have just done a solar panel. I'm learning a lot of electrical things. And so when the power goes off where I'm staying, people see our area, our house is the one which is lit. So there's a lot of interest on this, and I think it has a lot of impact. It can pump water, solar panels, solar pumps. There are a lot of things that as we are going into this green technologies and so forth. Energy provision from clean sources is one of the agenda. So I just want to encourage this team that you remodel a little bit to upscale yourself. Write a concept note. The key thing will be what is there out for Wanjiku. Is it linked to the Big Four agenda, which you have already assured? How do we proceed? Who are the core team? Because that consortium will require a chairman, and we need to escalate it up to appointment, if NACOSTI approves, appointment by the PS, the chair of the National Steering Committee of Research. When that happens, when still people are doing, Kenyans, sometimes you have a way of doing a merry-go-round or circus. When people are still debating and so forth, let us achieve something for this country, but ensure that you bring in key players. I'm seeing the academia is well represented. KIRDI is one of our research institutes that we regulate. And I think my sister from KIRDI needs to inform our team that this year we are, God willing again, we are sending our team on research, regulation, and quality assurance to visit some of our research institutes. And KIRDI, I think, will be one of them. Calro, Kemri, we'll send a team of experts, panelists, maybe the Dr. Thomas will be part of those panels, to come and evaluate the equipment you have, the staffing you have, the research you are doing, and write an advisory to a cabinet secretary and possibly to the country. So we are, NACOSTI has laid its foundation. I think my predecessor has done a very good job laying the foundation. It is now for the team that is there, Dr. Foreman and the likes, to now bring this house, whose foundation is firm, to be visible to Wanjiku. That is the question we are asking. Now, the other thing which I've been talking to a team, and sorry I'm speaking fast with a lot of things, is this team, one of the things you could also help us is in your own small way. What would you say is the contribution to this, of what we are doing to the COVID pandemic situation and post-COVID recovery strategy? You can see nature and this act of the heavens, which has brought COVID. Everything is being realigned. For some of us who call on his name, we see this as maybe closer to the times of Noah, that something is happening, but people are not knowing what it is. It's affecting everybody, small and big. We have no clear way. We are all beating about the bush, but at the end of it, I think the mercies of heaven will give us direction. So what would be this team? Solar is a very good thing. You've been there. How does it now speak to the current disruptive scenario of COVID and post-COVID recovery strategy? How will it help the economy? How will it help Wanjiku? How will it help the academia? How will it help the researchers who are there? How will it help the industry? And I'm happy that KenGen, a major agency, is there. So this team, to me, as an amalgamation of quite a number of key players, when I look at it, and it's a job, based on what I'm hearing, it's a job well done. I support it. Of course, I have my limitations, so there are limitations. I can only go as far as the powers granted to NACOSTI DGs there. The rest you can help me, but we can market it. We can market it in a very, very powerful way. I'm an engineer, but also a good marketer. So please, Dr. Twoma, Maybe I'll have some 2 minutes just to hear some reactions, but my key request is you circulate the national research priorities, figure out under which consortia you can form, tell me who other additional players can come in. It doesn't have to be more than 10 or 12 key players. And you know, in these things, politics also come in. Suppose you brought in like the PS Njoroge, who has been there for a very, very long time. As I'm speaking now, I think the World Bank is organizing, and Dr. has sent some documents to our staff, senior staff at the Coasting. The World Bank is currently working on the funding for the next, I think, 2-3 years relating to COVID, to the energy sector and for reforms in the university education sector. That's what we are working on, and I've shared some documents with Dr. Twoma. We need to capture the low-lying fruits and run with it before other things come and bottle us down. So just 2 minutes on quick reactions, Dr. and team. But I thank you, and sorry for interrupting your meeting. It's only that I'm really excited about what is going on. Thank you.
Strathmore, you are chair. Please take over.
Okay, thank you, DG, for the commendable job you are doing. We really appreciate your effort and the support you are giving us and whatever you have promised. So with that, as Strathmore, we will always support anything that comes in. On some of the issues you have tackled, as Strathmore, at the moment we are coming up with an MOU with a UK energy network known as Supergen, whereby we are trying to bring in academia and the industry together with the government support. So the MOU is still under review. So once we have the MOU ready, now we will start conducting now the people from the industry and the government to come up with an advisory committee that will lead some of the research we will focus on. And on this, the key focus will be on the productive use of electricity or in stock energy and the issue of energy transmissions. And with this, that's where the issue of now the net metering will come in and all those. Yeah, that's all I have. But thank you a lot for your time and the good job you are doing.
Yeah, thank you. Yeah, just also, if you allow me to add, one of the other things that we have signed for with our board in PC is the formation of what we are calling the STI and Research Network, starting with local partners. We could have some we call them what, sub teams of that network. Again, that one you could also discuss. But as the regulator, I think we have that overall ability to give, I think, this team a lot of exposure, even for Strathmore, as you continue to do your work. For us, we come in not as the experts down there, but really the coordinating agency. Even the work that you are doing, if we were fully now operational, we are supposed to advise government that the direction you have taken is the right one. Ordinarily, they would actually call on us that is what Strathmore and the network is doing the right thing. So somewhere along the route, you will find us, you'll meet us. And I think it's good we start early, see somehow how we meander through the paths. Yeah. David, am I excused now, or you want to say one or two things?
Thank you very much, DG. For me, I would like my members to be the ones to speak because they haven't had the privilege of meeting you, and we've heard from Strathmore. Possibly the energy people, that is Nupea and Kengen, you may want to say something to what the DG has said. And then lastly, the universities. University of Nairobi, thank you. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Dr. Otwoma. Let me take the opportunity. Thank you very much, Professor DG. Welcome on board. I would like to say that we have collaborated with NACOSTI by having Dr. Otwoma as one of our judges during our innovation seminars, and we have continued to look for more and more ways to collaborate with regard to research. Kengen has a fully fledged innovation department, and we're looking forward to more and more activity that drives innovation. Regarding your proposal on our contribution to COVID, I was of the view that as we talk about solar, we should talk about low capacity, small lithium ion batteries that people can have in homes and small offices, because now most of us have to work remotely and we have to have power throughout, and we shall be discussing that as a team. So I just want to let you know that further to your kind and encouraging remarks, there are one or two ideas that we can contribute along the theme. Thank you so much. I would like to invite Anthony if he has any more, because Anthony is from the fully fledged innovation department.
Yeah, wonderful, wonderful. That's wonderful. Thank you.
Thank you, Catherine. I think you have captured everything. So thank you, Professor. As the innovation department, we are going to work together and support Acosti in achieving the laid down plan. So thank you from my end. Nothing much.
And then our universities, Dr. Amolo and Dr. Waita.
All right.
Thank you. Sorry, can I go?
Yes, please go. Go, please. Dr. Go on, please.
Yes, speak. Continue.
Yes, I was going to just emphasize that for us, these types of conversations and engagements are very important because it's a two-way process where we want as researchers to produce research that is policy relevant, and we also want to facilitate policy engagements that are based on evidence. So we are very happy to continue supporting the work of NACOSTI. And as I'd mentioned, our students and early career researchers are using this as a platform to learn how policy is developed in the real world. And for them, that's very useful when they become professionals, either in the world of policy or as researchers. So thank you very much.
All right, thank you, Professor Dr. General, because of your comments, and I think I concur 100% with what you have said. Our main goal and the focus, actually, there's no better time than to show Wanjiku that we really care, especially at this time of COVID, by providing power. This is the best time for people, especially when they're working at home, because what we are talking about here would not be possible if we didn't have reliable power. And if power goes, we need a backup so that we can be able to continue and be productive. So that formed our basic motivation in reaching out to the villages and all that. Maybe just I need to mention that at one time before I started being practical and going to the villages to do practical work, I imagined that I had a comment somewhere in a conference that my PhD does not make sense to my mom, who doesn't understand what is a PhD or a master's, until she can see the product of that master's and the PhD. And actually, I actualized that and I saw the results. When I installed solar in our home and she was able to see light, enjoy TV and radio and charge our phone, you can't imagine the joy she had. And this is the focus now for our department. That what we have as a department now, we need to scale it down now to the village so that we impact the society. Thank you so much.
Yeah, wonderful, wonderful. Thank you.
Kirdi.
Thank you, Prof, for the positive response and feedback. As Kirdi, we are very grateful for acknowledging the job that you are doing, and we've been working so much with NACOSTI in various projects. NACOSTI has been supporting us in the projects, and we still hope to work with you. In this committee, we know that we shall achieve. And as people are ready to learn, we are ready to learn where there are gaps. Thank you so much. We hope to work in future. Continue to work.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you.
Thank you, DG. Maybe we can show our faces so that the DG realizes he was speaking with real people before he takes his exit, and we continue from where we left. But I thank you, DG. If you have anything else to say, it's your committee.
David, as they show their faces, take a snapshot. We hope you'll, as we normally do, excite our website by having whether half a page or full page of these discussions. And some of the small things we do, we never know how powerful they are until you share them out there. You'll find to you it's very normal. To another person, it's like, this is from Pluto. And I just want to tell you, as a researcher, I'm in the area of civil engineering. I have done my research in the area of using cow dung and soil to construct houses. And if you go to JKUAT, I'll show you the classrooms I've done with cow dung without the students knowing, otherwise they'll riot. But I have houses there which have been done by soil, cow dung. That is really bringing what Wanjiku has been using and making it into something that is technical. There's nothing really new per se. Everything was created by God, as we are just remodeling and doing everything. Thank you very much. I can see Catherine, I can see White, I can see Patrick. The rest, take a screenshot. This is a good job, please. I just want to encourage you. Thank you very much. Allow me to take another call and you continue as you continue the meeting. Thank you very much.
Okay. So, Chair, please, you can continue. You are with Sarah telling us about the second deliverable. Thank you, Chair, for your indulgence.
Okay, thank you. Okay, thank you all members for your patience and for the good job we are doing so far. So we are now going to the next deliverable, and Sarah just suggested she will have now to work on maybe the recommendations from the deliverable one, and then now from there she will share with us an updated stakeholder mapping or stakeholder engagement presentations. So maybe we can now hear from the members if there is any other comment they might need or input they have for the way forward on the deliverable 2. That is key to the work we are doing. So,
excuse me.
Yes.
Okay, I have a request.
Okay.
Thank you for. I have a request. Dr. Uktuma sent some document asking for the list for stakeholders. So I want to request the team, like if you have a name of a stakeholder that you'd want included, please kindly send to us so that we can include in the document that I'm working on.
Okay. I think yes, we will do that as a team.
Okay.
Yes. Yeah. Any other comment from the team members? Because we see we have 15 minutes. Yes, Krista, go ahead. Okay, I can see a comment.
I think she had a challenge with a microphone.
Yeah, there's a comment she has placed in the chat whereby she says the uptake of solar and other energy innovations like biogas have been poor, especially at the micro or household level. Yes. So I therefore suggest that as part of the objectives, we look into transition pathways that derogate the anticipated complexity and maximize on the adoption of solar for households. So thank you, Krista, for the comment.
Chair.
Yes.
Just on Krista's comment on the uptake of solar and biogas, I would like to invite Kirdi. There's a time back, I think Sarah had not yet joined Kirdi, but maybe you had joined. Kirdi was to come up with 3 demonstration facilities on biogas. So one of them is here in Dagoretti, where we have our abattoir. Another one was to be in Bungoma, and the third one in Homa Bay County. So the Homa Bay County and Bungoma, Homa Bay was to use fish leftovers, because after they take Nile perch, for example, what is called mgongowazi, it ends up being thrown away. And then in Bungoma, it was to use municipal field. The one in Dagoretti actually worked. UNIDO was involved. This is United Nations Industrial Development Organization, and materials were brought from Germany. And actually, if you go to Dagoretti, there is a there's a biogas system which makes gas. The unfortunate part, and this is Nakosti's observation, is that after the biogas has been made, it is not distributed to households around Dagoretti area. It is actually more of a demonstration facility. But on a side note, one of our students from University of Nairobi graduated way back in 2001 with a bachelor's degree, and he actually started a biogas company. And right now, as I'm speaking to you, he has done a lot of installations of biogas in houses and also schools, not only in Kenya, but as far as Rwanda. In fact, in Rwanda, the government took that idea to all prisons. So in prisons in Rwanda, here in Kenya, it is only used using cow dung. But in Rwanda, they use also, in addition to cow dung, human waste. That is as far as biogas is concerned. But Kirdi can say better, because Kirdi is the one which did the demonstration plant in Dagoretti. Thank you, Chair.
Okay, thank you for the insight. And in addition, even I think the Minister of Energy is supporting institutions like universities. I think they supported Jomo Kenyatta University to install biogas, and then on the prisons, they are doing a lot in terms of the biogas. On household levels, we have GIZ, EVOS, DRE. They are doing a lot in terms of household demonstrations and installation of biogas. So we have a lot of literature on that, and in that I can share some documents on biogas and so on. So that's something ongoing with the Minister of Energy. And I think people from Kengen or Nupea, they know some of those projects are going on from the Minister of Energy. Yeah. So other comments or ideas on the way forward?
Yes. But thank you. So I think we can concur with Sarah. I think we give her some time to refine and work on the documents, factory in the updates there from Dr. Amol, and then we can be able to have a more productive and inclusive discussion in our next meeting. Thank you.
So, Dr. Waita. So I think
I have a comment.
Yes,
Chair.
yes. Yeah.
Can I make a small comment?
Yes.
Based on the presentation that Sarah was just about to give, which was based off our last presentation, there are a number of objectives or questions that we're going to look at power plants. Later on, when we went back to our report, we realized that for businesses and homes, we are not going to be looking at plants per se. We are looking at either home-based systems or systems that small businesses can use. So we shifted that focus dramatically in the report.
Okay. So thank you, Dr. Amoro, for the comment. And with that,
Then,
Dr.
Chair.
Yes.
if people have exhausted everything as way forward, we could agree on the date of the next meeting.
Okay, so as usual, I suggest we meet after 2 weeks. That will be the second week of August. Same time. Yeah. Any other suggestions on the date of meeting?
That should be on 12th, Chairman. Huh?
Yes.
Okay.
12th August, same time.
Chair.
Yes.
So 12th and 13th, I may not be available.
Oh, so we might end up to.
But if it must continue, you saw Komen was present. That is my colleague.
And on 11th, are you available?
Yes, 11th I'm available.
Then we can now shift it to Tuesday, 11th on.
Is Sarah comfortable with that, Kirdi? Because Kirdi, it will be your day to make a presentation.
Yes, I'm comfortable. Thank you. See,
11th, it will be Tuesday.
Tuesday instead of Wednesday.
Is that okay, Kirdi?
yes, it's okay.
Thank you very much. So I will slot another meeting. How long should the meeting take? You know, normally we've been taking 1 hour, but last time and today I put 2 hours because I did not know when the DG will be available, and also the work which Dr. Molo did above the DG's presence. The work Dr. Molo did and her team and all of us chipped in. It was important that we actually exhaust all the discussions possible instead of hurrying. So I don't know how long you'd like the next. If it is 1 hour or 2 hours, I'm comfortable, but it depends with yourselves. Thank you, Chair.
So, so maybe we can hear from the members before we can decide whether it will be 1 hour or 2 hours.
Chair, I think 2 hours, when you said 2 hours is the maximum. So if it ends early, no problem. So even if we take 1 hour, 1.5 hours, so I think we can go for the 2 hours at most.
Okay. Thank you, Waita. So, Dr. Troma, we can go with 2 hours maximum.
No problem. I really thank you for your time. Thank you very much.
Yes. Yeah, you are welcome. So if there is any other comments, what I'd like maybe to suggest from the members, we take time to go through the report from Dr. Molo, and then the draft stakeholder consultations or stakeholder mapping that was shared by Sarah. Let's take time, go through it, and then from there, I'm sure the next meeting will be more productive. So thank you everyone for your time, for your patience, for your inputs, discussions, and everything. So Dr. Troma, you can now.
I'll stop recording, but anybody who wants to continue talking,